All right, guys, welcome back. We are talking about Wodapalooza. We're back at home. We just did a bit of a recap of what happened in the individual competition, the Thursday and Friday out in Miami. And then, obviously, after that, I had to pick up all the pieces in my life and put it together for a team competition. Another 2 days of competition, 8 more events. And so we're going to talk about kind of what went down in the team competition in Miami. All right, so like I said, 8 events down, 8 more to go. I tried not to think about it while I was doing the individual event, but I knew that this was coming and I was gonna show up on Friday morning not exactly feeling awesome. The good news is I didn't have to do it all on my own. I could share the load with the boys. So we were pretty excited to show up in Miami and put together our Canadian team. It was myself, Brent Fikowski, Jeff Adler. We were kind of prepared to have a little fun. It was a cool opportunity for us because all of us train by ourselves all the time, year round. And I think we like the opportunity to kind of come hang out and spend some time with people, but it just, by circumstance, we don't really get to. So it was fun. It was fun to come there and be able to just sort of talk shop and strategize and work out with other people and do that for a weekend and then sort of ride off into the distance after that. We, on Wednesday, right before the individual competition started, we got together and did a very brief powwow and talked about some of the team workouts, looked at them, talked some strategy, played with a little bit of synchro, did about an hour session of just sort of figuring out how we move together. And then from there, we just shelved it while Brent and I did the individual competition, and Jeff just sort of hung out and rested his body, I hope. And then Friday was go time for us. So showing up on Friday, anybody who was there competing in teams that did individual was wearing it pretty obviously. People were a little achy. Those first 2 events of the individual competition really beat people up, and then I think we've just been kind of surviving since then. It was kind of fun. It was like a bit of a badge of honor to be there competing team afterwards and be looking at all the guys, and anybody who was you had seen on the individual floor, you kind of tipped your cap to, and you're like, I know what you're feeling. I'm feeling it too. And with that said, I think we were the only team that had 2 guys that competed individually on our squad. So, you know, we just were like extra hardcore, which again, extra awesome badge of honor for us. So Brent and I did the individual competition, and Jeff was our only fresh body, which you know means that we were about to ride him hard through the entire weekend, and we did. So first things first, when we showed up on Friday, first event was a very fast relay where you each picked a gymnastics movement and you did, I think it was 42 reps of it. Handstand push-ups, chest to bars, pistols. First time through, you did a shuttle run afterwards, tagged your partner. Second time through, you would finish your gymnastics movements and do a row. And so you went through 2 rounds each, done. Fast and furious, no real strategy involved in terms of breaking it up. You just sort of, you go unbroken if you can. If you can't, you flail till the finish, and then you just get out of there and you make way for the next guy. So we were joking, when you're in the corrals, sometimes you you think about your strategy, you're like stressed about how the workout's gonna go and whatever, but there was just very little to think about in that workout. It was like you just sort of went as hard as you could, and it was the 90-second interval, and then you were done. So it was kind of a nice way to start, although it was very fast and aggressive. The only real strategy was deciding who did what. And initially we had decided that Brent would do pistols. Even, I know, a big guy like that, people were surprised we wanted him doing pistols, but he moves all right. And realistically, we just thought we don't really want either he or I doing handstand push-ups. We should probably just get Jeff to do handstand push-ups because he's a little bit faster. He's probably more likely to do both sets unbroken. I was going to do the pull-ups. I'm good for 2 sets of 42 unbroken, no problem. And then we showed up on Friday, and after the individual competition, it was pretty clear that neither Brent or I would do 42 pistols. Our legs were pretty jacked up, and I think every team workout had squatting in it. And the only ones that didn't were a weightlifting one. If you did the jerk, you didn't squat, and in this workout, if you didn't do the pistols, you didn't squat. So Jeff graciously said, hey, you guys should not squat. Take your one event break from squatting, give your legs a rest. And then in the briefing, they announced that we'd have to do 42 pistols on one leg. And then in the next round, you would do your 42 pistols on the other leg, which was a massive curveball and made us very thankful for Jeff for jumping on that grenade for us. So flash forward to the event. We came out in our flannels, which we brought as our kind of Canadian outfit. We didn't get to wear them as much as we'd like, just because the buttons kind of get in the way if you're catching barbells or things. We didn't want to, you know, blow out some buttons and make it real crazy out there. But with all the gymnastics movements, they didn't really impede it much and they didn't get in the way. So it was a really nice way to kind of come out event one, rocking our Canadian outfit and make a splash. And it went really nice. You know, Brent's first set of handstand push-ups were unbroken and pretty fast, went smooth. And then we got to watch Jeff do the pistols, and we hadn't seen the women go or the other men's heats go, but this was happening in every heat. People would do these pistols and then take off for their shuttle run. And with all the load on one leg, they'd look like they got shot. Like they would take off and it'd be like hobbling around. So the shuttle runs were wild to watch for the people doing pistols. And Jeff came back and I was sort of, the chest to bars were last. So I was watching him hobble through his shuttle runs, kind of like enjoying the show. And before I realized like, oh man, I gotta get myself ready to work here. And so was, you know, got myself focused in time to do the tag and get up on the bar and do some pull-ups. But once you were in, it wasn't much to think about. We had a little drama at the end of the workout when BKG rode 250 meters in like 15 seconds or something. There was an error somewhere in either on the rower or in the judges, and everybody freaked out for about the rest of that day, really trying to appeal it. But that was a pretty fun workout. Fast and furious, not much thinking. You just kind of did your job. There wasn't enough time to look around. And for us, you know, high volume gymnastics, we're not the fastest movers, I don't think, Brent or I. So we ended up taking out a 3rd place finish in that workout, which was, you know, really, really happy for us. We were like, man, that I didn't expect to knock out a top 3 finish in like a movement speed workout. So great way to start. The next event, what did we do second? We swam. We did the running relay and the swim. This was one where Jeff paid up on this one too, where Brent we put out first, thinking that if we could put him in clear water, he could bank some time swimming really fast without having run first. Jeff and I are decent runners. We figured we'd go down hard on the runner for a little bit. And I went second on the swim so that I could swim without having done, you know, 4K of running first, since of the 3 of us, I'm probably the least proficient swimmer. But I went as smooth as I could, got through my squats really fast, was great. When I got back to the runner, we had like 1K left. So Jeff ran, he was part of running 4K before he even got in the water. So he had to run the hard leg. And then Brent and I were done the run by the time Jeff was basically getting into the water when he finished his D-ball squats, or D-ball to shoulder. So we got to just kind of be done. We didn't crush the run, but we did pretty good. In our heat, we were kind of top 2 or 3. But some teams really, this was a double score event where your run was 1 score and then your relay was another score. So some teams really sent it for the run, but didn't do as well in the other one. I think our team had the best combined score points-wise for those 2 events, which was great. We did awesome. Jeff held it down in that last lap and did a really nice swim leg and squatted his way to the finish, but he was hurting. And I think he had the hardest leg for us in that workout. So again, we were putting that fresh body to use early in the weekend. Evening event was our first kind of big synchro test for 3 guys who don't do a lot of team. We weren't sure exactly how it would go. Initially, we thought about being super aggressive and doing much bigger sets on the muscle ups. I had kind of said, hey, I'll do lots of ring muscle ups to save, you know, Brent from doing lots of ring muscle ups. As long as, you know, Brent does lots of snatches or something like that. And we had a very convoluted plan. And then right before we got out, we kind of said we should just make it really simple, make it kind of conga line strategy, lots of changes, keep it pretty fresh. And that was the right call. I think when you get in a workout and you get tired, the less communication you need, the better. And it was automatic. We were pretty smooth on the barbell. We didn't waste a lot of time waiting for bars to settle or things like that. So the equipment didn't rest much, and that's a great way to do well in team workouts. So we took second in that workout and felt really good. None of us felt like we were too wasted on that one. Brent and I, our legs held up fine. And it was good. It was like we could have maybe pushed a little more and got the win in that one, but we felt really smooth and in control, and it was kind of a good sign. We were like, hey, maybe we can do this synchro stuff. Team's pretty easy. But it was a good way to finish the day, and I think that put us into first place at the end of day one. We weren't planning on looking back from there. We were going to try to keep control of the competition, and finishing day one in the lead was a great way to do that. Showing up day two, to be honest, my body was feeling better than it was on the first day of team, so my day three of competition. I think because most of the DOMs were kind of from day one of individual, it's now 3 days since then. So body's starting to come back to life a little bit. I did lots of pulling with all the chest to bars, the swimming, and the ring muscle ups on day one. So my arms were a little tired, but legs were feeling way better than they had in days. So it was kind of nice. Our first workout that day was a big rope climb and you know, mixed implement, hang clean, shoulder to overhead thruster workout. So similar to the workout the night before, we made a pretty simple plan. We sent Brent out first to try to be fast on the rope. All of us are pretty good rope climbers, and we tried to we had Brent's really comfortable on the kettlebells, and we tried to make basically everybody just pick a piece of equipment. So once your movement pattern got kind of used to that, you weren't switching pieces of equipment much. You just kind of fell into a rhythm and you could stay on that. So I ended up on the barbell, which is a little bit heavier but a little bit easier overhead. And then Brent was on the kettlebells and Jeff was on the dumbbells. So the holds got hard. Sorry, Jeff went out first. I went out second. Brent went out last. Brent definitely finished the workout saying he felt great and like he had no problem at all. I think whoever went out first kind of got the roughest ride. So once again, this was Jeff having a hard go for us. But we were talking a lot in the holds just about like how your arms are holding up. Because after 12 rope climbs in a row, climbing as fast as you can, coming back on the equipment and trying to do a bunch of hang cleans or shoulder to overheads, it juiced your arms pretty good. So Jeff went first, I was second, and I was feeling it after mine. My lockout was getting real hairy, and similarly, we were pretty conservative in the last round. We maybe could have pushed it and got the event win, but we just went a little more conservative and came in a comfortable second place. Nobody was too messed up. So coasting into the rest of day two. The next event for us was kind of a big one because it's a bit of a wild card. It was the weightlifting. We had Brent overhead squatting, which he's great at. We had Jeff doing shoulder to overhead, which he's great at. So I was stuck front squatting. In a normal individual competition, I would hate to have this stuff come up because I have to compete against Brent's overhead squat or Jeff's shoulder to overhead. But when they're on your team, boy, it's a lot more fun. So I got to kind of sit back and enjoy the ride. We had a really long corral time before that we took the floor there. We probably were 25 minutes at least between touching a barbell in the warm-up area to touching a barbell on the floor, and you weren't allowed to do any warm-up lifts. So I mean, it's a heavy weight to be moving after that, kind of sitting around. People were trying to stay warm in the tent, but you got to get some weight on you. So it was a bit sketchy. A lot of guys were talking, they were jumping down in their weights, their opening weights by about 10 pounds. And we just sort of got on the floor and we stuck to our guns and said, hey, like, let's just go for it. Everybody stuck to their plan. Jeff actually went up by 10 pounds in his opener just because it was more convenient loading, which is a savage move. And he nailed it, and I think he ended up with like a 1 pound PR in his jerk in the second set. I missed my last set of squats, but you know, didn't let the team down too bad. I think it was still a top 5 finish for us there, which was huge, and that kind of put us in a big lead going into the last workouts, which were again wild scoring because that was after the cuts. The point system for the teams in the last round was like a 16-point spread between places, so we had a pretty significant lead, but if you bomb one of those, it's like your whole lead is gone. So we had to kind of execute at least top 3 or 4 finishes for all of those workouts. and stay close to the GoWad team with Roman and Jay Crouch and Willie George, because they were creeping up as well in the standings and having a strong competition. So it was fun. The last workouts were hard to it was hard to pay attention to other teams. You were doing sort of partner relays. You each had a job. You just tried to kind of get through it as good as you could. I did toes to bar and box jump overs with Jeff for the first section. And that was sort of, our plan was like, Jeff had to do back to back because he had to jump into the next section with Brent, and I got to break for a section. So he was in charge. I just had to follow his pace on the toes to bar, do whatever he thought he could hold up. And I would do more of the box jump overs because I had a break. Then he went in and did some bench press with Brent and some overhead walking lunges. And then I came out to do some heavy wall balls and handstand walks with Brent. So legs feeling a little better on the last day, but I wasn't exactly keen to do another 60 heavy wall balls. But that one was, you know, we made a few mistakes. I think each of us made at least one significant error in that workout and sort of cost us probably a place or two. But it was okay. It kept it interesting. It meant we had to kind of send it on the last one. And this was where, you know, our boy Jeff came in once again to take the hardest leg. We had to do 33 synchro dumbbell snatches, and then each of us had to hit like a 22 cal echo bike and then finish with 33 synchro burpees over the dumbbell. And so Brent went first after the snatches. So he had to go right from snatch to bike. So that's, you know, he had not any real break and had to sort of push the bike as much as he could. But then he got a big break after the bike. I got a break after the dumbbell. I hit the bike second, and then I got a break before the burpees. So my job was just to bike as hard as you can and bank some seconds. And then Jeff had to go right off the bike. He got the big break after the snatch. He had to go bike as hard as he could and then go right into the burpees to finish the weekend. So another one, we got to the burpees, and, you know, we slowly accelerated to the end with some other teams, and there was a bunch of misfires right at the finish as everything gets loud and you can feel the competition coming to a close. We got a couple no reps at the end that cost us some time, and ended up with a really tight finish with the GoWad team, the boys team, and us. And so I think we ended up third overall or something in that workout. But, you know, it was still plenty to keep us in first place. So it was nice. It was super fun. It was dramatic to finish. The point system changes made it, you know, very exciting. And it was fun to kind of show up and be able to just throw together a nice Canadian team. It makes it easy when the guys are really fit, you know. We were kept talking a lot of strategy and a lot of how to make this work, and, you know, what are the best ways to work as a team. And at the end of the day, it makes it really easy when the guys are very skilled and very fit. You can kind of pick, you usually have a few different options of strategies, and people are pretty good at adjusting on the fly. So we made lots of plans, we made lots of adjustments, we made some errors, which could have been better, but it was a super strong team. You know, hats off to Brent and Jeff, who were awesome and super fun the whole time. And so it was a fun experience. It was fun to do team. The stress level feels lower. All the guys are out there kind of having fun. Most of the people on the floor are not team guys. There isn't, you know, a games division for teams of 3 or something like that. So it's sort of, you can't really hang your hat or your identity on how well you do in that type of format. So it's mostly for fun, and I think everybody kind of knows that. So there was just like, there's a lot more personality out on the floor. There's a lot more people kind of having fun, taking risks, doing things. So it's cool. And but that said, when it's time to go and you get that standby call and you get stressed and you don't want to let the guys down. Nobody wants to be the slow person on the team. So it's cool. It's a different kind of stress, you know. I like doing stuff like that. I might do more teams of 3 or things like that in the future for fun, because it's a cool way to kind of get my exposure to training partners or kind of working out with friends and things like that when I don't do that on a regular basis. So, you know, at the end of the day, I did get a gold medal at Wodapalooza, which is terrific. You know, I'm sharing it with the fellas, but we came away with back-to-back podium finishes, 16 events in 4 days. It was a big weekend. It's taken me all of a week and a bit to kind of shake it off and get myself back to normal training, and I think we're still feeling the effects a little bit. But the Open's coming up. Hopefully I can get myself turned around and back to ready to compete in a few weeks here, and then you know, the season will be underway. So that's sort of a fun, I don't know if you look at Wodapalooza as the beginning of this season or the end of the last season, but either way, it's kind of a fun exclamation mark at some point there, and ready to move on to the next chapter. So that's it. That's what happened at Wodapalooza this year. We had one third place finish for me in the individual competition, and then one first place finish for Canadian PB&J, Pat, Brent, and Jeff in the team competition. The only real elite team to show up to Wodapalooza. But it was a lot of fun. I'm sure I'll be back next year. Maybe we'll have another repeat by the boys of PB&J.
All the time. I know. Should we do all of them on each too? Yeah.
You gonna toss them?
Yeah, I don't know where, and I don't want to hit somebody in the head. I kind of want to look for somebody to give them.
Elite teams, Canadian PB&J.